Good evening. As chairperson of the Hartford Board of Education, I hereby call to order the November 18th, 2025 regular meeting. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. The board, superintendent, and I are pleased that you have joined us as we celebrate achievement, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of the Hartford Public Schools. This is a regular meeting, and all items that will be discussed or voted on this evening have been posted as required by state law. As the Hartford Board of Education, we are here to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve the problems of individuals. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. The monthly meetings of the board are open to the public. There are the time when the board conducts its business of governing the school system in a public arena. The regular meetings are not meetings with the public. Therefore, comments from the audience will be confined to the time designed for the public to address the board. Decorum and courtesy are important elements in effective public meetings. Please silence your cell phones or communication devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that proceedings be accurately recorded, I may have to ask for order periodically should noise begin to interfere with our recording capabilities. I am pleased that you have taken this time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school system and thank you for your interest in Hartford Public Schools. Now this will be read in Spanish.
Buenas noches. La presidenta de la Junta de Educación de Hartford ha llamado a orden esta reunión ordinaria de la Junta del 18 de noviembre del 2025. Damos una cálida bienvenida a todas las personas presentes y a nuestros televidentes. La Junta y el superintendente se complacen que se han unido a nosotros para celebrar logros, revisar información y tomar decisiones relacionadas con el funcionamiento efectivo de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Esta es una reunión ordinaria y todos los asuntos que serán discutidos o votados en esta tarde han sido notificados como lo requiere la ley estatal. Como Junta de Educación de Hartford, estamos aquí para establecer metas, escuchar los informes del superintendente, aprobar los presupuestos, contratos y nombramientos de personal y establecer normas para el distrito. No estamos aquí para tomar decisiones administrativas o resolver problemas individuales. La administración es la responsabilidad del superintendente. Las reuniones mensuales de la Junta están abiertas al público. Son el momento en que la Junta lleva a cabo su tarea de gobernar el sistema escolar en un espacio público. Las reuniones regulares no son reuniones con el público. Por lo tanto, los comentarios de la audiencia se limitarán al tiempo designado para el público dirigirse a la Junta. El decoro y la cortesía son elementos importantes en reuniones públicas eficaces. Por favor, silencien sus teléfonos celulares o dispositivos de comunicación y absténganse de hablar mientras otros están hablando. Ya que es mandato legal que los procedimientos sean grabados con precisión, es posible que tengamos que pedir orden periódicamente si el ruido interfiere con nuestras capacidades de grabación. Nos complace que hayan tomado el tiempo esta tarde para unirse a nosotros. Estamos muy orgullosos de este sistema escolar y les damos gracias por su interés en la escuela pública de Hartford.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Andre Townsell, for recognitions.
Thank you. Student recognition. At this time, I'd like to call Dia Kalidison to join us down front. Dia is a freshman at the University High School of Science and Engineering who earned a perfect score on the PSAT 8-9 practice test. A PSAT 8 All right. A PSAT 8.9 perfect score is uncommon, as a score of 1440 is considered the top of the 99th percentile for both 8th and ninth graders. Dia, you are an inspiration to your peers and a shining example of what it means to exceed the bar. It's important to share that Dia was also a student at Annie Fisher STEM Magnet School. Let's make some noise for Dia.
That's Mom. This is Dad. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is HBO's. Wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations. So can you read it from your microphone there? Can you read it? Yeah, 3 more.
Talking about the staff recognition. Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Correct. All right. I have staff recognition. On behalf of Hartford Public Schools, we would like to recognize the following individuals. May you please join us down front. Carrie Blaze, Byrd Middle School physical education teacher and coach. Will Vetzer, Hartford Public Schools school safety officer. And Heidi Schmidt, Hartford Public School athletic director. Yes, I need a hand. Come help me out. Just hold the mic for me, please. Just hold the mic. That's all I need. Sorry about that.
No pressure.
You by yourself? I guess so. Okay. Okay, here we go. Make some noise for them. Mr. Blaze and Mr. Vitzer, we recognize you for your bravery and quick action that saved a life during a soccer game. On October 29th, the Byrd Middle School Eagles were playing Achievement First in a middle school sports semifinal game when one of the referees went into distress on the field. Ms. Blaze and Mr. Vitzer did not hesitate to jump into action to perform CPR and use an AED to save the referee's life during that time. In recognition of your life-saving actions and exemplary courage, compassion, and teamwork, we'd like to present you with a life-saving recognition award. Make some noise. It's important to share. They did a phenomenal job at the time. I believe over the weekend, I think the individual did succumb ultimately, but we were able to get them through that opportunity, get them to their families, and it was very brave during that time. So please clap it up one more time for them. And Heidi Schmidt, in partnership with our Health Services Department, we recognize you for your leadership in ensuring that the AEDs at all of our school athletic locations and your staff is trained on using the devices. For those who may not know, an AED stands for the Automated External Defibrillator. It is a portable and easy-to-use medical device that can analyze a person's heart rhythm during a cardiac arrest and deliver an electric shock to restore a normal heartbeat. They are located at all of our school buildings and offices. In recognition of your outstanding leadership and dedication to the policy that promotes safety, preparedness, and the well-being of all of our school community, we also give you this award. Please, let's put our hands together one more time for both of these staff members. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and now we're moving on to public comment.
Hello, everybody. We, as a board, in collaboration with the superintendent and district leadership, are committed to cultivating a culture of excellence at all levels of HBS. We thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's board meeting. We appreciate you coming out to learn more about Hartford Public Schools and for sharing your thoughts and concerns. We have established a protocol to track and respond to concerns raised. We want you to know that we take your concerns seriously, and to that end, staff will follow up within 48 hours if follow-up is required via the preferred method of contact the speaker has indicated on the sign-in sheet. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak. At the 2-minute mark, the bell will ring, letting you know that you have 1 minute left. At the second bell, please wrap up your comments. Now this will be read in Spanish. Thank you.
Nosotros, la Junta de Educación, en colaboración con el superintendente y el personal de distrito, estamos comprometidos a cultivar una cultura de excelencia en todos los niveles de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Les agradecemos se hayan tomado el tiempo para asistir a la reunión de la Junta esta noche. Les agradecemos su participación y su deseo de aprender más sobre las escuelas públicas de Hartford y también por compartir sus pensamientos y preocupaciones. Nosotros tomamos sus preocupaciones muy seriamente y hemos establecido un protocolo para el seguimiento y respuesta a inequitudes planteadas. El personal hará un seguimiento dentro de las 48 horas, si fuera necesario, a través del método de contacto preferido que el orador ha indicado en la hoja de registro. Esa persona investigará su caso y se comunicará con usted dentro de las 48 horas. Les recordamos que tienen 3 minutos para hablar. Cuando han pasado 2 minutos, el timbre sonará, dejándole saber que le queda 1 minuto. Al segundo sonido, por favor, termine sus comentarios.
Our first speaker is Attorney Reed.
Do I sit here or, okay, I don't know. All right, hello everyone. My name is Tatiana Perry. I am here today to share my experiences from enrolling my son into Hartford school systems. He is 6 years old. Ever since I enrolled my child, I received a civility letter with false allegations of threatening/harassing being used against me by using this statement: the next meeting will be located outside of the school. After I explained to them that it meant a school meeting and that was not my intent, they took my words out of context. I've received unanswered incident reports and waiting weeks and receiving answers regarding incidents of my child being bullied, hit on, and teachers being mean to him. The school was aware that I had to remove my son from the after-school program due to him being bullied, and the next year placed him in a classroom with the same child who bullied him. This year, my son has had one altercation with the kid, and the school has ignored me about it. I have experienced and seen minimal consequences for staff members exhibiting misconduct, to teachers handling children aggressively. My son was restricted from recess because he had trouble remembering concentrating. When I asked the teacher the reason, she said she reminded him 2 times he struggles with a disability. I was provoked by my son's teacher when I told her, when I said my son said that he did not eat. She was in my face trying to intimidate me, and she even poked and shook my child in front of me, just because he forgot his lunchbox. The teacher said it would have cut into her time, and she would have had to get an extra key. She even questioned why I packed him what I packed him. I explained to her that my child does not eat meat or school lunch, and they can't heat up food, so I pack cold items, and something's better than nothing. Again, he has trouble remembering, and this has been brought to their attention multiple times. I am issued a sorry guys, my throat. I am issued a civilly letter threatening possible future legal charges the moment I begin to speak up about my child. I was even, and then I also went to a meeting with a higher up, and I think it was an executive director. Not even hearing my side yet, she told me that she won't remove the civilly letter. This has caused me to feel like I was dealing with a biased opinion and already premeditated answer. I know my time is wrapping up, so I just want something that protects parents that advocate for their children. I was told that it doesn't matter my intent, it just matters if the teacher felt away. Really made me feel away as a parent and a person that my son solely relies on. Also, I would never threaten anyone. I study law, I do a lot, and it just truly hurts to be lied on in this manner. And I'm doing this today to get this letter removed. They quoted a statute. All right, is that it? Because it was a third buzz, so I can't. Was that it? Okay. Well, if you guys, I do have copies of it if you guys would like to review that as well.
Apologies,
Thank
that's
you for your time.
Can you please provide a copy to Ms. Santiago?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
apologies, that was Ms. Tatiana Perry. Our next speaker is Attorney Reed.
Good evening. My name is Attorney Sylvia Reed. I am an attorney in the state of Connecticut. I generally represent domestic violence victims, parents. I do family law, and I attend a lot of PPT meetings with students, parents, and I try to assist with trying to meet a place where everybody can be benefited, not just the school system. In this situation, Tatiana had stated before that she received a civility letter. And this civility letter I see as a threat to her. And that is why she she came to me, because it was unfair how they so-called conducted an investigation and did not give her an opportunity to be properly heard. There was this letter actually threatens her, and they're claiming that her statements threaten the school. So her words were to protect her child. And what we are seeking the board to do, if anything, is to help us get to the bottom of this issue. This is against her, and all she was trying to do was to let the school know there was a problem with the child and his teacher, and the way that the teacher was treating her son. And they took it as a threat to the school and told her in the civility letter that she may not be able to come back onto the school facility. All she wants is to be properly heard, and that's what we're asking this board to do. If you can assist us with meeting with the right people who can address the issue, because this is against her person and her character, and this is not her character, and it's being misconstrued, and we're asking for your assistance in some way to address this appropriately. Thank you. My time's up, correct? Okay.
Our next speaker, Millie Arciniegas.
Good afternoon, Dr. Townsell and honorable board members. Congratulations for those of you who've gone through an election and have come back. But, you know, I want to continue with what these two speakers have said. There is a culture in some of these schools. We know that there's a professional code of conduct for teachers. We know that there's a professional code of conduct for administrators. But when we start calling it out and we start trying to hold people accountable, now we're looked at as that, okay, well, who are you to be saying stuff? As parents. So there is that culture inside of our schools. And we as parents need to have a way that we can have a grievance process just like everybody else. Where do we report it at? Eyesight? No, that's just for internal, right? So where do we report it? It can't just be the Welcome Center. And if it is the Welcome Center, then it has to be very specific to that. Because what you're gonna see in these schools is you're gonna see that safety, in that culture of unsafetyness, because we can't report. And when we do, then we're looked at as these parents can't come in here. And that's not fair to us as parents. That's not fair to a partner, right? I'm that organization, Hartford Parent University, that teaches parents how to advocate for their children's learning. Where does that leave me? Am I that organization that people look at and say, what are you doing? You putting the uproaring the parents, talking about our stuff. You know, and that's not fair to us. It really isn't as a partner. It really isn't as parents that are trying to advocate for their children. And we could do better. We could do better as a board. We could do better as a community. We could do better as parents. Bring us to the table, Dr. Townsell. Please, bring us to the table as parents. Bring us to as a board, bring us to your policy committee meetings. Have it where, you know, we can come to the table, not just on Zoom. There was a time where we were at those tables. That's how parents learned about policy as well, and learned how we can work together to build great schools. So give us that opportunity to bring parents to the table and make our schools safer and make our climate where they're embracing parents as partners. Thank you.
Jerica Brown.
Good evening. I apologize ahead of time because I'm a little nervous, but I believe that what I have to say is important. So good evening, everyone. My name is Jerica Brown, and I am the mother of 3 children who previously attended Capital Prep Magnet School through the Regional School of Choice program. On October 24th, my 13-year-old daughter was violently assaulted inside her classroom. This assault was not sudden. This conflict escalated openly for nearly 40 minutes and no one intervened. Students were arranging desks to prepare for a fight. A substitute teacher and 2 security officers were fully aware of a conflict brewing. Security entered the classroom within 4 to 5 times within 37 minutes, yet no de-escalation or classroom management occurred. I addressed the board today to raise a larger safety concern that extends far beyond my daughter. My family's experience is not just a personal incident. It is a clear example of a critical failure in supervision and classroom regulation within the Hartford Public Schools. I want to ask, what is the standard for supervision and classroom control in this district? And what is being done to ensure the safety of the students in your care? The lack of intervention sent a message to every child and parent in that room. Safety is optional. Disruptive behavior is tolerated in a learning environment, but this is not just about my daughter. It is a reflection of a deeper issue. If a 40-minute conflict, desks being moved for a fight, and staff repeatedly witnessing escalation did not trigger action, then the problem is systemic. So I'm asking the board directly, how is this acceptable in any Hartford Public School classroom? If this situation did not activate any safety protocols, then what does? How are students being kept safe if staff are not consistently following proper de-escalation procedures? Parents like me were promised safe, structured schools through the Regional School of Choice program. That promise is not being kept. And while the district continues to recruit suburban families, it fails to protect the students that are in their care. This is bigger than one incident. This is a safety issue, a supervision issue, a training issue, a district-wide accountability issue. Our children deserve protection, stability, and a learning environment where safety comes first. Hartford Public Schools has the motto, set the bar, meet the bar, exceed the bar, raise the bar. Where is the bar for your safety? That's it. Have a good day.
Ernest Bailey.
Okay. Apologies in advance. I wrote too much, so I'm going to go real fast. So good evening, Dr. Townsell and members of the board. My name is Ernest. I'm the Deputy Director of Campaigns with Educators for Excellence. I'm here tonight because Hartford's facing a special education staffing crisis that requires your attention. Last October, a quarter of our special ed roles sat vacant, accounting for nearly a third of all teacher vacancies in the district. The impact is significant. 50% of students with disabilities were chronically absent last year, and their academic performance continues to lag. However, I'm not here to just identify the problems. I'm also here to discuss teacher-led solutions. Our teachers are the experts on what's happening in their classrooms, and they've been very clear on what needs to change. Last December, we surveyed more than HPS educators to learn from them what needed to improve. Number one was additional annual pay for teachers in hard-to-staff schools and subjects. The support was overwhelming. 36% selected that as their first choice. 71% of the educators that were polled ranked it in their top 3. So teachers across the country have also identified effective solutions to this. While Hartford already has a one-time $10,000 hiring bonus, research shows that annual compensation drives better recruitment and retention outcomes. Consider Detroit, which implemented a $15,000 annual incentive for SPED teachers and significantly reduced vacancies. Also Ravenswood in California, which offered a $5,000 yearly stipend and started the 2025 school year fully staffed. Hartford teachers have correctly diagnosed the problem, research, and the solutions, and are now telling you what they need to improve student outcomes. We appreciate the ongoing dialogue with district leadership on this issue and recognize the district's commitment to the one-time bonus. And tonight, we're asking for the board to take the next step. Commit to enshrining additional annual compensation for special ed teachers by forging an agreement between HPS schools and the Hartford Federation of Teachers. So our teachers who are unable to be here tonight due to conflict with parent-teacher conferences are counting on you to take action. Thank you so much for your time. I didn't take as long as I thought I would. So just a couple of quick things. One, you all should have received a letter from one of our, there it is, from one of our teachers who was kind enough to send it over. I've left my contact info, so anybody that still needs to look at that letter, let me know. And every single person up on that stage, I would love to have the opportunity to talk in more depth about the research that we've done that I think can kind of ground these solutions and also support that we at E4E can help to provide in this process. So I guess that's it for me. Thank you.
Raquel Calderon.
Good evening, Dr. Tansel and Board of Directors. I'm really here because somebody handed me some information that I didn't know about it, but I'm concerned. The titles are 6 schools construction paused solely by the mayor. I'm not aware of that. I was handed by the president of the Hartford Federation of Teachers today. Good jobs are on hold in unsafe and unfair conditions in some schools. I'm not really aware of this, but I'd like you guys to know about these topics and discuss that further. Also, I am here to thank you for the opportunity that our Dr. Tansels has an open door and listens to concerns, and I am very thankful about that. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Alyssa Peterson.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members. I did not prepare my usual diatribe tonight. I'm just going to speak off the cuff. A person like me who does not have children in the system, I've appeared many times over the years before this board, and I come because your business, the business that you do for the city of Hartford, does impact residents like me. And how it impacts us is if you're socially promoting children who can't read or can't write, then over time they end up being our residents who end up not being able to get a job, not being able to get an apartment, not being able to have a family or provide for their family. So your role in providing the basics, reading, writing, math, is so critical because the students will later become citizens or residents living next to me or in my neighborhood. So this is a really important point about the fabric of Hartford. To that point, Horton Chef has been an unintended consequence, or it has had unintended consequences. And specifically, it's about impacting our schools such that so many of our students leave our city and go to other schools, other towns. The kids don't play with each other. They don't, the parents don't know one another. They don't go to the park together. And what happens is you have a breakdown of the fabric of Hartford. So again, social promotion is bad because the residents end up not being able to conduct their lives later. And also an unintended consequence of Horton of Chef is the kids go out of town and it impacts us as residents. Nobody knows each other anymore. Nobody goes to the park anymore. Nobody goes to rec centers anymore. So I want you to think about that as you carry out your role here. Last, and one of those, to that end, one of those points I made previously was about closing schools. It's important that we close outside campuses. Superintendent, I've sent you a letter. I would ask you to share it with the rest of the board members. I think we need to focus on that. There are 2 campuses out of Hartford, and we need to possibly save the money, bring those teachers back, and focus on our neighborhood schools. We cannot be closing neighborhood schools. We can combine schools and combine programs, but to close the buildings, once again, it hurts the neighborhoods and the fabric of Hartford. And lastly, I'd like to be involved with the state committee that you're creating, so if that would be made public, that information, the mayor's committee and your committee. And then lastly, I did file a FOIA complaint about the board, and I just wanted to say one thing about that. When you had your last election, it should have been published who your votes were for, what your votes were and who they were for. It is statute, it's 10-218. It should have been published in your minutes. And so I've just filed a Freedom of Information complaint about that, and I hope that it can be resolved amicably. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Jonathan Mann.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Jonathan Mann. My wife, Juliana, and I have 3 children. Jupiter's in 6th grade at Renzulli. Poetry is at pre-K3 Annie Fisher. And Epiphany, Pippi for short, is in 3rd grade. She was also at Annie Fisher from pre-K to 2nd grade, but this summer we made the difficult decision to rent our West End home that we love and move into a small apartment just over Prospect Ave so that Epiphany, who has severe dyslexia, could attend West Hartford schools. We did not take this decision to leave Hartford lightly. We very much wanted to stay in the city, but given the issues we faced with HBS over these last years trying to get Pippi the services she needed, relocating felt like the only choice. Last year, at the end of 2nd grade, Pippi was reading at the level of a kindergartner. This is after years, literally years, of us trying to convince the Hartford Public School representatives that she needed heavy interventions for her dyslexia. We had the PPTs, we had the testing, we eventually got the dyslexia diagnosis through an independent evaluation, but at every step of the way, the representatives of Hartford Public Schools seemed hell-bent and determined simply to not provide the services that Pippi would need to catch up. We ended up paying out of pocket for a weekly tutor, and it was really at the urging of our educators that we made the decision to move to West Hartford. When Pippi got her diagnosis, it came with a recommendation that she'd need special daily reading instruction. Our tutor and advocate knew, with all the kids they've worked with and seen over the years, that this was going to be a long, difficult, and ultimately potentially losing battle against Hartford Public Schools, and my wife and I felt like Pippi just didn't have that kind of time to waste. And so Pippi's reading abilities have exploded. She's come further in the first few months in West Hartford than I could ever have imagined. All she needed was that extra little help. If she had gotten the services we'd been fighting for way back in 1st grade, it's likely we'd still be living in our old house. We are incredibly privileged as a family to have the resources to pack up our entire life, rent our home, and move on a moment's notice. But I know our story is far from unique. How many hundreds or thousands of kids in Hartford are just like Pippi, but will not get the services they need because of a school district that feels downright hostile to anyone asking for help? We still have 2 kids in Hartford schools, one of whom is autistic, and as a result of this experience, my wife and I have gotten involved with our friend Rachel Taylor's organization, SEPTO, with a mission to make sure that all kids of Hartford get the services they need and deserve, and I look forward to the day that we all make that a reality. Thanks for your time.
And our last speaker, John Walton.
Good evening, Dr. Tanzo, and good evening, distinguished board members. So wow, Dr. Tanzo, I'm going to be piggybacking off a lot of comments that some of the other speakers have made, and also good evening to the audience, and I see some leaders in the audience. So one of the things when you make a culture change is this, you know, climate where things are a little shaken. And Dr. Tanzo, to your credit, you came in with this board who charged you with making a culture change. And culture change can be very shocking because we've had a culture for so long that was a dictatorship. My way or the highway. Didn't include anybody. So I'm going to speak a little to that. But let me first start with the board and one bylaw that I would hope you take into consideration to execute immediately, and that's bylaw 9160, to bring our student board members along. Because if we don't have student involvement and community involvement, then all our efforts will not be where we want them. The other thing is the SGC formulations. Now, the past culture, like I said before, was about a dictatorship. And many people, let me say some, let me not say many, do not like partnerships. They like their authority. And when you introduce the SGC, what that is saying is that's a partnership between the school and the school administration and the Student Governance Council to make decisions together. And that's what we need. That's one of the first steps we need in each school to make sure that on the ground, we know what the issues are and we have a buy-in from the community on those issues and how to get to a place where we need to be in each school. Now, we definitely need to restructure our educational model. It's not attractive to our community. Many of our students who don't want to come here and the parents who don't want their children here are not attracted to what we have. So we have to restructure it to add in options they are attracted to. Now, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room, school closure. Now, many of you saw me at the mayor's press conference about school consolidation and closure. That wasn't me giving a cosign to what the mayor was saying. That was me saying that if we're going to have a conversation about this on any level, 566 needs to be at that table. And we want to be at that table. And if you know anything about me, and those of you who are members of our Facebook page, we include the conversation from both ends. I want to hear the evidence on both sides so that I can take a position. And whether we disagree or agree, at least when I take my position, it will be informed. And to the members out there in the community, it should be informed as well. Now, I have no political aspirations. Actually, when I became the union president of Local 566, it wasn't my choice to become union president. It was the young women and young men of that union who said, John, we need your help. Because at that particular time, I was very selfish in the way I thought, until I had an epiphany and decided, you know, I need to help the community that helped develop me. And so those young women and men of Local 566 charged me with cleaning up their union and beginning to lead them in the direction of respectability and dignity. And you would see when I first came to board meetings 4 years ago, I had a bow tie on, a suit jacket, looking the part, because I thought maybe that's what we need, right? To look the part, because we're always dressed in dirty clothes because we do trades work. And I would come with written speeches, and I would hand it to the board members, and you guys would have a chance to read it. It was very professional because I would use all the professional tools I had available to me to make it legible for you and on point. And then I thought, maybe that gets us to where we need to go. But you know what it really was, Dr. Townsend, board members? It was the culture we have here. Because for some reason, unfortunately, a lot of the management style is led by a dictatorship. They don't see us as equals. They do not see us as partners. They don't want us at the table until they've already made their decisions. They don't want to include us, even though if you look at Article 15 of our contract, and I'm sure it's in most contracts, it says when it comes to health and safety, We shall make a joint committee that makes policy decisions. But they don't want us at a table. Why is that? Well, my opinion is they don't want us at a table because it takes away their ability to leverage the outcomes. Right? Because as a previous speaker mentioned, accountability, which is the curse word of professionalism. We can hold them accountable as partners the same way they hold us accountable, but they don't want that accountability. And so they've been taught, well, we'll make our decisions and you react to them. Is that a partnership? Is that a marriage? No. Lastly, we're under contract negotiations. And, you know, when I cleaned up the union and I brought about respectability and dignity, it was said to us, well, you know, John, we want to do what's right. We care about you. And we care about your union. You do vital work. Oh, yeah? Okay. So even though, in public, I really want you to listen to this. Even though we had $154 million in surplus during COVID, they still came to the contract negotiations with zeros. And then they never boosted them past 1% to 2%. Now, if that's a person you care about and people you care about, which 87% of our union is actually residents, the same people that you guys are advocating for and working for, and they should as well, then you wouldn't give them things that wouldn't even be able to put food on the table for their young students and children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews to even have an opportunity at getting a proper education. In order for you to make that culture change, Dr. Townsend and board members, I plead with you that you start holding them to the accountability of culture change that includes us as partners. We should be at the table of policy decision making. We should not be reacting to the decisions they make because they always use Article 2, which is the superintendent's prerogative, and sometimes you're not even aware of the prerogative. I thank you for your time. I thank you for the opportunity, and I see from your reactions that you are paying attention to what we're actually saying. I appreciate you, and all of you have good and safe holidays.
Thank you. We will now move on to the report of the chair. I would like to say this month, I would like to provide several critical matters affecting our district as well. Also included in the report, extending a heartfelt appreciation to board members for their continued commitment. So the first item is Connecticut State Department of Education executive summaries. So we have received 3 executive summaries from the Connecticut State Department of Education pertaining to 3 district components. It's 3 district components of their final report, which has not been publicly released yet as far as I know. Although the full report remains pending, or I don't even know if it exists yet, we understand that Hartford Public Schools and our community at large is awaiting it with great interest, especially following the coverage in the September 6th newspaper report. We will continue to monitor its release when it comes out and assess its implications for our district once it is made available. Next, City of Hartford response to school construction inquiry. We're also awaiting for the city's response to an inquiry that we submitted on October 29th regarding the mayor's authority to halt school construction projects that have already received 95% reimbursement approval from the state of Connecticut. Given the substantial progress already made in the state's significant financial commitment, We are eager to receive clarity on this matter so that we may move forward responsibly and in the best interest of our students, families, and staff. Last but certainly not least, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to each of our board members who were floating around many community meetings, as well as our superintendent, probably more so than we were, present at numerous community events, reflecting unwavering commitment to our students and our families, and it complements the mission of Hartford Public Schools. Your work does not go unnoticed, and I thank you for your time and energy and the heart you continue to give this district. A thankless job, but I wanted to give you some thanks on this evening. That is my report, and I will move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Brody. Very excited to share that I've now completed my first 100 days as superintendent of Hartford Public Schools. It was 100 days, ladies and gentlemen, of listening and learning. The 100-day report is made available at all schools. It's on our website, and I will pause for a very brief video to try to encapsulate what's went on in the first 100 days. So we have it queued up right here.
So much in a small amount of time. I met with faith-based leaders, community leaders, elected officials, building leaders, teachers, any and everybody who love Hartford Public Schools. One thing I'll tell you is that the passion is real. Let me tell you, if you think Hartford Public Schools better days are behind us, I'm telling you to wake up and get with the program. Our better days are in front of us. What I think that we can do is capitalize on all of the great things that are going on. Number one, showcasing our amazing programs. Yes, we have traditional schools, but we also have magnet schools, and they are thriving. We have extracurricular opportunities like electronic sports, phenomenal post-secondary opportunities. And here's the biggest cheat code for me, the Hartford Promise. I know you've heard about it, and it should not be the best kept secret. That means if you live in Hartford, the city proper, go to a Hartford public school, earn a 3.0 grade point average, and a 93% attendance rate, get up to a $100,000 scholarship to the school of your choice. If you're not telling me that's not advertising, I don't know what to say. Hartford Public Schools future is bright. We're great. We need you to come home. You know, I have the privilege of visiting every last campus, walking to every last one of our facilities. I travel over 200 miles on the scooter across Hartford to see with my own eyes. I walk through all of our buildings with boots on the ground to see what it is that we have to offer our families, what we have to offer our students, and most importantly, what we have to offer our community. You must know, as Hartford Public School goes, so goes the city of Hartford. We have to really focus on the X's and O's. I'm talking about literacy and numeracy. And right now, I'm on a Read to Uplift Students of Hartford tour. It's called the Brush Tour at all of our elementary schools. I'm going into our facility, meeting with our building leaders and school leaders, but most importantly, our kids. Reading to our students and let them know why it is important to read every single day. The more you read, the smarter you become. And in the new year, I'm super excited about going with our climate and culture tour at all of our secondary schools. I'm talking about giving some good information to our young people so they can know exactly what we expect for you to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, scan the code on your screen to find out more. And in order for the rest of your life to be the best of your life, your next move must be your best move. You take care, and I will see you soon. God bless.
That report is made available online. I think it's here in the lobby. It's at every one of our schools for our families to see raw data, some anecdotals, and some quantitative data on what's going on in Hartford Public Schools. I do believe that our better days are in front of us. It's important that we look at our future with anticipation and not any apprehension. Are there challenges? Absolutely. Can we solve those challenges? 100%. I don't wish it was easier. I just wish we were better. Don't wish it took any less challenges. Wish that we have more skill. And as we continue to build our capacity, we will be okay. The next thing I'll share is with regards to the Hartford Promise. I've been sharing that since I have the privilege of being here, and I asked that our president of the Hartford Promise, Ms. Yvonne Hines, can come and help highlight and showcase the best that the Hartford Promise have to offer. So without further, we ask Ms. Hines to come up, Dr. Hines to come up. Do we have the PowerPoint queued? Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. What I'm going to try and do is, in a short period of time, give you some idea of success, because this is a good news story, but I think there's too much that folks don't know. So our HPS grads over the past 10 years have been receiving this scholarship, and they are really soaring. So it is not just the news of the last 100,000 this year, but it is what you should know about what's been going on. So the next slide. The basics you all know. No application. Everyone who meets our 4 criteria automatically qualify. That has been about, it varies by, but it's about 120 to 130 students a year. For 9 years, our scholarship had been 20,000. It just increased up to 100,000, which the superintendent has mentioned. But every student is getting really deep wraparound services in high school, in college, and for career, because it's not good enough to just give students, our kids represent Hartford's population. 75% are first generation. We can't just give them money to go to college and say good luck. It's the support. And so the impact is what I want you all to help me, next slide, sorry, tell the story. So we've had 1,200 Hartford Promise Scholars already, 500 current college students. We have 450 college graduates from Hartford Public Schools just since 2020. And they're attending 90 plus colleges and universities. We can skip to the next slide and the one after. Thank you. So what I wanted to do was give you a quick glimpse of some of those stories, because they're coming from all of our schools. It's not just our magnet schools. So Eric Bueno, class of 2017 from Hartford Public High School, went to UConn with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Engineering. He then went to MIT, completed a post-bac, and he's currently enrolled in a PhD program at Boston University in biomedical engineering. The next slide, Rashawn Davis was a UHSSC graduate from 2018, went to UConn, got a degree in financial management. He currently works at Travelers as a financial analyst, and he closes next month on a home here in Hartford. Tiana Brathwaite, serving our community in a different way, went to Buckley, class of 2019, to Eastern, class of 2023, the Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, and is employed at the Connecticut Fair Housing Center as a fair housing specialist. Freddie Fabian graduated from SMSA in 2020, studied computer science at UConn, graduated this year. He's working at Cygnus Technology Development Program in cybersecurity. Freddie had options to go to DC with Ernst & Young, to go to Electric Boat, and to go to Cigna. He chose to stay at Cigna to be close to home and invested in our community. Vijaya Rampertab is HMTCA, class of 2020, Eastern Connecticut State University, Bachelor of Arts in Social Work. She went to USJ this past year, got her master's in social work. She's working as a psychotherapist at Essence Counseling in Hartford, really focused on trauma. And Deidre Hewitt is a most recent graduate, Weaver class of 2021, UConn class of 2025 in accounting. She's now getting her master's of accounting at Central and is employed as an accountant at Constep. And the last student I want to focus on is we have our first doctor. And Josephine's story is pretty impressive. She went to classical and graduated 2016. She was our first year of the Hartford Promise Scholarship. Graduated at age 16. Her parents wouldn't let her go away to college. So she went to Capital for 2 years, got her associates, used our scholarship to go to Rochester, get her biomedical engineering degree, and then went to Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, graduated this year with her Doctor of Optometry. And she's working as an optometrist in Massachusetts, but would love to come back to Hartford. Those are just a few stories out of 457. It was hard for me to pick stories, but what I want you all to understand, lifetime projected earnings for 457 college graduates in Hartford is more than $1.2 billion. And we have currently 500 HPS scholars enrolled in college, and we have many more to come. Students are working hard to reach our scholarship criteria now. So it's just a powerful story that we would love your help. The superintendent is out there spreading the word about the scholarship opportunity, but what I want you all to help spread the word to is the success, because this is a huge good news story for Hartford, and it's only going to continue to grow. So thank you.
Thank you so much, President. In Hartford Public Schools, you can be successful. In Hartford Public Schools, you will be successful. In Hartford Public Schools, you must be successful. Just do what you're supposed to do, and we'll be here to support you. The next thing I have is I want to give a major shout out to Annie Fisher STEM Magnet School because they earned the Engard, Connecticut School of Distinction for Mathematics, and we can make some noise for them. They have earned, through their excellent results in the State Next Generation Accountability Report, the title of Engard, Connecticut State School of Distinction in Mathematics Level 2. The school leaders, Principal Aaron Wilson and Assistant Principal Angela Baratko, surprised their students, family, and staff with a great news in the assembly on November 5th. It was a great, exciting time. That is how we set the bar, meet the bar, exceed the bar, and ultimately raise the bar by achievement. And there will be more achievement to come over time. The last thing I'd like to share, and this is an update with our budget, and we'll continue to talk about this and be ongoing, and we're going to talk early and often about our budget so we all know. We are kicking off our budget process for next year. Over the next couple of months, we will be meeting with key stakeholder groups to share information about our fiscal outlook and how you can be a part of the budget process. Hartford Public Schools has a structural deficit. This means that Hartford has had a deficit every year the past decade and will continue to have a deficit unless something changes structurally. Our deficit is estimated to be about $35 million next year and increasing in future years. The main driver of our deficit is the funding for Hartford resident students who do not attend Hartford Public Schools. Changing the funding system for Hartford resident students who do not attend Hartford Public Schools is the single biggest factor that would shift our financial outlook, and this will require state-level action. There are some opportunities within our locus of control to enhance the student experience and create financial efficiencies for Hartford Public Schools, but they have smaller overall financial impacts. These include the number and type of school we operate and our in-house special education programming. Navigating this budget process will require all of us. We need you to understand our financial situation, advocate at the state and city level for funding changes, and participate in the process of prioritizing what investments are most important for children of Hartford. Please stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for upcoming opportunities to learn about our budget and to participate in our budget process. This is an opportunity to pre-message and talk about the budget early and not wait till we get to March. With that, thank you, Councilwoman, Chairwoman Brody.
Oh, no.
One more thing.
Okay.
One last thing I do want to share. Our Student Advisory Council meeting is on December 3rd. where the leadership and the student board representatives will be elected. We will have our student board representatives elected. That meetings are going to take place on December 3rd, and they will be seated at the December 16th board meeting. So I do want everyone to be aware of that. Our young people will be up here representing, and we will have that student voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. And we've always, it's been a pleasure for us, for our student representatives to sit. But I just wanted to say, as a reminder, you can find the superintendent's report, full committee reports, student reports, all attachments and videos in the meeting agenda on board docs. All committee and workshop meetings are live streamed as well as viewable after the meeting. The YouTube links are saved in each meeting's agenda on board docs. So I highly encourage you, the community, to view the meetings, read the reports when possible. And if you have any questions or feedback, please contact Christina Santiago, our board liaison, at csantiago@hartfordschools.org. And now we're moving on to our business agenda. Item 4.1, contract approval for 241 Sports. The motion is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with 241 Sports for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2026, at an amount not to exceed $93,485. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Monica Quinones.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Ed members and Superintendent Townsell. I'm here today to speak about the 241 contract that's up for approval. And I want to start off by saying that the 241 Sports they have a mission, and their mission is to provide all students with the opportunity to grow both physically and emotionally through play-filled power of sports. Their vision includes a world at play with individuals who are physically and emotionally well. Both the mission and the vision of 241 Sports correlates directly with the district's priority of having whole and healthy students. In addition, 241 Sports' goal is to develop and deliver sustainable physical literacy development programs for children, families, which includes to focus on building culture, relationships, enjoyment, all the time blending both sports and physical activity, which includes nutrition awareness and the practical skills of social emotional learning that would leave the children with competence and motivation to be active for life. So the skills that they're acquiring now won't be temporary. It is something that they can take with them throughout their life. And so to provide a perspective, a school's perspective, and more data directly related on how 241 Sports has impacted our students, I have with me Principal Thompson, who's principal at Environmental Sciences Magnet School, and she can provide more detailed about how this has impacted our students at school.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We've partnered with 241 Sports for the last few years through an extracurricular grant through the state of Connecticut, through the magnet school system. We've partnered with them for after-school program. We have a girls leadership program and the morning sports program. It's a morning sports sampling program where our students get to participate with staff members from the school that are hired and trained through 241 Sports. And their 241 stands for Life's Too Short for Just One Sport. So it offers lots of opportunities for students to learn collaborative games, cooperative learning. They implement the social emotional learning program within their program, but it connects directly to what we're doing in the classrooms with Second Step. And the students get to participate in the morning. It also provides a great opportunity for families who need morning care, as our school opens at 8:30, so it offers an opportunity at 7:55 for kids to get there. And there's also a peer leadership part of it. So our 6th through 8th grade students can apply, they interview, and they get training on being peer mentors or leaders of the team sports. And then the after school component for us is a girls leadership program, which has served 20 to 30 students over the last 3 years. And they take 2 trips together. Last year they got to participate in Mohegan Sun with a Connecticut Sun leadership program for girls, which is a great opportunity for them to be connected with other teens throughout the state of Connecticut. For us, it's increased our attendance specifically for students that are participating in the sports. I know data was provided regarding the impact that has had as well with the students who are participating.
Thank you. So with that, do we have any questions, board members? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the follow-up data that showed the benefit of 2-for-1 with the participants. My question is total number of students in that population. Do you have that number? How many students?
In the population of everyone that's been in 2-for-1 sports?
Yeah, you've shown benefits in absenteeism and discipline referrals. I just wanted to just have on the record how many students are in that population.
I'm not sure if in the data that was presented, I don't know if you can see that here. In the actual data slides, if you have the data slides, it'll show the number of students that were asked the questions of the survey, and also of the number of students that participated.
Not seeing that, or it's not
While you look for that, Mr. Walker, board member Fortune is gonna. You have something you want to say while he
Board
look
Member
for
Walker,
what?
are you asking about number of students participating?
Yeah.
It's 110 based on a report for ESM, and then 100 students approximately at Noah Webster is what the report says. Was that your question?
Yep.
Okay. My question is just if you could talk about the delta between students participating in 2-for-1 in terms of attendance and the students who are not participating. How much is the attendance increasing? And I guess I'd also be curious to know what the attendance for those same students were before they started participating in 2-for-1.
I could provide that. I don't have that data with me today to be able to compare the student, like the before and the after, specifically for all those, the subsets that you just described. Sorry, I'm just looking for ours.
We can definitely provide that data.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Are you all set, Mr. Walker? No, I'm just saying it because your mic is still lit up.
Oh, yeah.
I did find that in the data if you'd like me to share.
Go ahead, go right
percentage.
ahead.
All right, so as far as students that are participating, so specifically, I mentioned attendance, but I think disciplinary data is important as well, but attendance specifically, so students participating in the program have a 9% chronic absenteeism rate. Our overall school chronic absenteeism rate this last year was over 25%. So there's a significant difference. Specifically for referrals, so percentage of students that receive a disciplinary referral 3 or more for the year was 7%. And overall, I believe for our school, we're at 13% for that, for 3 or more referrals.
Go ahead, Ms. Fortune.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think 2-for-1 is a great program. It offers, superb extracurricular activities to our students. I'm always wary of correlation versus causation. Is it that the attendance is better for those students because they're the ones who opt into this program in the first place, and they have less behavioral referrals because they're the students who have better support at home, et cetera, et cetera? Or is it you really think that it's participating in 241 that is causing them to be less absent and causing them to have less disciplinary issues, because I feel like that is a really strong causation argument that I don't know that I'm persuaded by, even though I do think this is a great program and I'll vote in favor of it. So just, you know, question and just food for thought.
I do want to say, and I always say it, like, it's great. We have great programming, and sometimes we give a lot of credit to a program, but we know it's a combination of like many things. I think I heard, Miss Estrada Perez.
I think what would be helpful for the future is to track not just the like 9% versus like the overall total population, but tracking, okay, X number of students had joined, what was their attendance before, what was their attendance after. I think to your point, board member Brody, it's a lot of factors, but I think being able to track in terms of future data collection, and I know it's more, but I think it's a better gauge of where we're at if you can track with those students how their attendance was, or even like you talked about disciplinary referrals as well. So if you can track what it looked like before and then after programs, that would be really helpful in terms of knowing a little bit more what's happening for the future.
And then I do think I see 241 logos, so I just wanted to acknowledge that they are here if we had questions for them directly. But Mr. Mills?
Hi, I don't want to prolong this because I think we're all going to vote yes anyways. But this is an extracurricular grant. Are you guys applying for it yourselves, or is this something that the state just gives, like the funding source?
We had to apply for it. It was a competitive grant this year. In past years, each schools were designated a certain amount per pupil. But we had to apply for it over the summertime. We were awarded the money.
Well, then I want to commend you for applying for programs like this, considering our cash-strapped resources. So thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one question. I believe for one of the schools, is referenced that one of the sources of that would pay is Title I. Could we explain?
So for ESM, we're the budget that we're utilizing is extracurricular grant. For Noah Webster, I believe it is a different funding source.
I think it's, funding source is Title I for Noah Webster. Or am I in a whole nother am I in the right presentation?
Title I. Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Yes, they're using both the extracurricular and Title I funding.
So does it specify, it's so hard, guys, it's hard with these lights on, and at least for me, even with glasses on, but it does say Title I for Noah Webster. It's nothing I need right now, but I was just interested about that Title I funding specifically.
Okay.
Ms. Fortune?
Sure, just for my own edification, to follow up on Board Member Mills' question. So did your school proactively apply for this grant, which explains why it's funding 241 versus Noah Webster's funding it through Title I? Or was it through the district? Just curious about what the process was.
Sure. So all of the magnet schools, I can only speak for Hartford, but for the magnet schools, this was offered as a competitive grant to apply for over the summertime. And we could pick any host of programs or extracurricular type of programming or enhancements to our extracurricular theme-based program. We had to provide data as far as what were students interested in, what past programs have been successful, what do parents want. And so 241 Sports has been a vendor that we have worked with for a few years, and it's had very positive response from families. So that was part of what we wrote into the grant. Other schools chose other things to write in for the grant. I'm not familiar with what Noah Webster applied for. I'm assuming they did, because I believe all of the Hartford magnet schools did apply for this competitive grant. And then based off of their scoring structure, they chose which applications to fund for how much. And I'm unfamiliar with, again, what Noah Webster applied for. I just know what we did. And they chose with Title I, so I don't know if Ms. Quinones can share that part of the information.
Yeah, I don't have that information right now, but we can definitely find out how much of the Title I funds was used for that portion of it, and the reason for why they used both of them. But Title I funding using for student activities, but we can get that information.
I'd be curious to hear from our representatives from 241 in terms of when you receive the grant applications. I'm always mindful of, are we leaving some money off the table? And if one school is applying for the grant or multiple schools are doing it, are we using the same best practices so that we're maximizing how much funding we're receiving from these grants? So I'm just curious I'd love to hear from 241 if you have any insight to share.
Is it okay from here?
Sure.
Good evening,
Sorry,
everybody.
I'm told no.
Apologies, I was, believe it or not, in Washington, D.C. this morning doing 241 programming and wanted to be here tonight, so I caught an early train, and I'm glad you asked a question, because now I feel like it was really good that I did this.
I'm glad to make it worthwhile.
So, I mean, I'd love to tell you there's a simple answer to it. You know, we work with so many different schools in the city now and across the country that, but we're Hartford-based, obviously, and this is our home, and we talk about you everywhere we go. We're always, especially with the shift in the federal funding, working to find whatever sources there are. And I do know that, you know, there's been changes in the available funds for programs like ours and other folks that are part of the community-based organizations. But last year we got funding from ESPN, for example, because they wanted to lift us up as a model program for multi-sport, and it was in partnership with Steph and Aisha Curry's foundation out of Oakland. That's not renewable, and so those are funds that, you know, in past years the magnet money was readily available, but that has changed, and I think that's what Lindsay was referring to, is that often the magnets were able to apply, but the other thing is we really want to be in community schools, and so a lot of our funding that we've gone after with Hartford Foundation for Public Giving and other organizations is to be able to get into community schools as well. I don't know principals' discretionary in terms of Title I and how that all works. It's just that when we've had such good reputation being in the schools that we've been able to find different sources so that we can, you know, maintain our relationship, because it's so important. The other thing I would just say is that these funds were available in September, and here we are in the end of November. And for connectedness, it's really important that kids get to start as soon as possible. If there were a way to expedite this process, that we haven't been able to start at ESM, but those monies have been available since end of August, early September, that would be fantastic, because then we could spread that out throughout the whole year. Now we're going to sort of pack the funding in from now moving forward. So I don't know if there's a change that could be made as far as that process goes, because I think that would be super helpful.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And noted on the timing of the funds being available so that our students can have more time with these activities versus less time.
I don't see any other lit up microphones. So go ahead.
Thank you. I just have one quick question. With regards to attendance for students who participate in 2-for-1 sports, what does that look like, and is there some type of guideline, if you will, where if students miss too many sessions with 2-for-1 sports that they're either removed, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we program primarily in the elementary schools, and when kids are absent, it's rarely the kids' fault, right? It's always a parental issue. So there are conversations that are to be had, but I know there was a question earlier about attendance. I mean, anecdotally, what we have found is kids are coming. There is causation, right? That because, and this is why I think doing a before school model is really powerful, because if you can get kids there, now you got them, right? And so if you're running quality programming to start the day, and this is the same case, literally when I was in DC this morning, all the stories are saying the same thing. They have kids from faraway places that aren't ordinarily coming to school, might be in homeless shelters, aren't ordinarily coming to school, and now they are. So we don't have a this 3 and you're out policy. It's always going to be to work with the family and try to figure out like what is the reason for the lack of attendance. But in most cases, the kids are saying it, you know, I slept on the couch last night and no one got me up, you know, like, and it's things like that where the kids want to be at the program, I can guarantee you.
Thank you.
The motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with 241 Sports for the term outlined in the contract, ending June 30th, 2026, at an amount not to exceed $93,485. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion moves.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have item 4.2, contract approval, Pullman and Comley. The motion is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Pullman and Comley for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2026, at an amount not to exceed $137,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I'm going to turn it over to Attorney Ed Wilson.
Good evening. The total amount of the contract is $137,000. It's allocated $90,000 on the legal services side and $47,000 on the school leadership side. To further unpack that, in terms of the legal services that the law firm provides, contract negotiations, negotiates approximately 10 CBA contracts for the school districts, arbitrations, Title IX training, and general representation. On the expulsion, the school leadership side, the law firm has been appointed by the Board of Education to conduct expulsion hearings for situations that warrant expulsions. I will note that Pullman and Conley have been providing legal services to the school district for approximately 8 years. In terms of the fees that the board will see, they are at discounted rates pursuant to our engagement with the law firm. So I believe we're getting essentially about a 35% discount of what they would typically charge. I have with me Attorney Kaufman from the law firm, who's our primary attorney on our legal matters. And we're happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you, Attorney Wilson.
Thank you. I'm not totally sure whether this question is related to this contract or just generally for contract negotiations processes more broadly and for us as a district. I know that as a board member, I would like to have more information about when contract negotiations are happening, with which units, sort of regular updates on the processes of where we're at in the process, and also be invited to sit at the table or at least observe, since these agreements are negotiated between the Board of Education and the respective collective bargaining units. It seems to me, and we are the body that ultimately approves or denies their contracts, at least our side of them. They're also ratified by the members of the bargaining units. I would just like some more regular communication and involvement in the process. And so I guess stating for the record whether that can come from the law firm or from our team internally or from the superintendent or a designee. I know last year Deputy Superintendent Paul Foster was a lead from the district side in a lot of the negotiations. So just making that request more formally. And if either of you have insight on what that could look like, I'd welcome it now.
Well, absolutely. Great point, and I remember seeing you at the HFT negotiations. You're actually a part of those negotiations, so we absolutely can make sure we're providing a calendar to the board as to when we're in negotiations and the dates of those, so the board members can attend. Just procedurally, we would have to, I believe, list them as part of the negotiation teams and the ground rules.
Correct. It's something we could certainly do moving forward with those that we haven't done ground rules with yet. Otherwise, it would take an amendment of ground rules.
Understood. Both of those things would be very helpful. Thank you.
Ms. Fortune?
Thank you. To echo Board Member Tatum, I think what would also be helpful is to know some of the asks from the bargaining units, because I think by the time we see the terms, it's essentially the final version for the most part, or what we've already negotiated. And I've learned through other channels, not the board, of asks from bargaining units that we turned down that I had no idea was even asked of us. And the final version that I see is what's been negotiated after we've said no to specific requests. So I think if we're kept abreast of what's happening in the negotiations overall, we'll get to see different iterations of what's being negotiated. For example, health insurance is, do we want to stay on the private plan or on a public plan? That would be interesting to me to know and compare the numbers and see what the value add is and why the units, our staff, whether it's teachers or other unions are requesting those types of benefits.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And what you described, Board Member Fortune, was my experience with the HFT negotiations. So if we could model that, that was a good experience for board members to all the things that you described. Our council was very helpful, and our staff in answering our questions. But it is in real time, so we don't want to be like a hindrance to the process. So it was a learning opportunity, but it was very. I would for those of us that don't have conflicting reasons why we should not be in those spaces, it is something good to experience. At least one of the invites. Are there any other questions? With no other questions, the motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Pullman and Comley for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2026 at an amount not to exceed $137,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion moves. And we're moving on to item 4.3, second reading and adoption of the equal protection of students regardless of immigration status policy. The motion that the Hartford Board of Education adopts policy 5111.3, equal protection of students regardless of immigration status. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll turn it over to our policy chair, Ms. Fortune.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just by way of background, some of this we discussed at the last board meeting. We revised the name of the policy from protection of undocumented students to equal protection of students regardless of immigration status, which is more apt to what it's trying to do, so that all of our students at HBS, regardless of their immigration status, can come to school and feel some reasonable sense of safety in terms of how they are protected when they are on school grounds. This policy complies with all relevant federal and state law, and in particular, it does direct the superintendent to not allow ICE agents or federal enforcement agents into school buildings unless they have an unexpired judicial warrant from a federal judge, not simply an administrative warrant from ICE itself. And the policy is adopted and modified from a CABE model policy, and it further directs the superintendent to develop clear protocols with step-by-step procedures for principals, teachers, and security staff if immigration officials are ever at our doors and seeking to enter our school premises.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion on this policy? Mr. Tatum?
I'm strongly in support of the policy and just want to commend you, Board Member Fortune, as the chair of the policy committee, and the other members of the policy committee for taking this action.
It was a good time. You saw the passions come out, and it was great to experience. So I echo that of Mr. Tatum. No? Board Member Estrada Perez.
I also want to just second that, or third that the importance of this policy, I think, more than, I mean, we should have this strong no matter what, but I think what we're experiencing from the federal level, what's happening in our schools and in our municipalities, I think we have to be willing to protect our most marginalized students and making sure that we have these policies that are, you know, in accordance with the law as it exists, but also that allows us to protect our students in a way that they feel safe, so that they can come to school, that their parents can come, that their parents can drop them off at school, that they feel like there is some level of support or protection, and that we are really being adamant and trained on, you know, the differences between an actual warrant versus an unjudicial warrant, right? And I think it's really important that we have this, and I'm really, you know, this is also something that came up from community, right? We were thinking about it, but also we heard so much about the fear that our communities had, and so we wanted to make sure that we were addressing this, and just wanted to thank Chairwoman for the Policy Committee, Fortune, for all the work that was put into this, because it is a direct result of community ask, but also the recognition that we have a responsibility to our students, regardless of immigration status, to protect them, especially in a city as diverse as Hartford. So I just wanted to echo that and put publicly why this is so important.
Ms. Fortune?
I'll simply just add just a huge thank you to the board, but also to the community members who did reach out and provided information to us to really strengthen the policy, even from just the CABE model policy, and they had very clear, concise points about what really matters in the policy. For example, that revision to explicitly require a judicial warrant signed by a federal judge is from our community that is working with all sorts of students and populations that are marginalized, so that your voices and your contributions have been tremendously helpful. You know, I must also say, this does not guarantee protection, because we are dealing with an administration that many times disregards the rule of law, but we're doing everything within our power as a district to protect students to the best of our abilities. Families that are concerned and still feel unsafe, this is the best that we can do, and it is still on the family to make the decision that feels safest for them. I know we're making many resources available to our families, particularly through the Welcome Center. So please seek out the information that's coming from your child's school, and in all different languages, in terms of other ways that we're trying to work with families and support them during a particularly challenging time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, could I add one thing?
Sure.
Just for our community, because I don't want to be deaf as they're seeing a policy today that we haven't been doing this work for some time. So while we're here passing a policy, I just want to echo for our school community that we've trained staff, that we trained security officers, that we've had legal immigration experts presenting to our school principals, that we've done at least 2 superintendent memos at this point, have definitely doubled down on our security measures in our schools. So this is work we've been doing. Now we're formalizing it in policy. But I just want to make sure our community is clear that they're hearing a policy today that this is new work for the district. That's not true, right? We've been making sure we're a safe school district for all our students for some time. It's been the mission of this school district. We're just now memorializing it in policy.
Thank you for stating that.
Let me have a question. question before.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to make a request, at the end of this policy, there's a statement that the superintendent and district leadership is going to develop step-by-step procedures for circumstances when ICE is on school grounds but not within the school building. Is there a way that procedure can be either attached to link or addendum so we can get some visibility to what that procedure is going to be? It's outside of this policy, but it's just an action this policy is calling out.
Absolutely. And the actual step-by-step procedure was contained in the superintendent memorandum that spoke to exactly how the school district is going to operationalize and respond, but we could absolutely make sure that you have a copy of that memo.
Well, what I want to do, what you just said, what I'd like to be able to do is get to this memo and have this policy point me to, and here's the supporting documentation. I'm saying that because sometimes the lower level procedures and practices don't always get to be visible at the policy level. That's really my request.
Understood.
Because I
I
want
just-
to ask something too around who do we want to really have access to this? So, go ahead, Ms. Fortune.
With respect to this particular policy, we did have the most recent memo, I think from August, from the superintendent, that does have some provisions in it that don't exactly align with this new policy. So the policy supersedes that memo, and it's going to be revised. Correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Wilson, but we plan to revise the protocol so that it conforms with this, because this is in some ways more stringent in terms of how we're vetting folks to allow them into the building. But so the revised memo, I believe, is it's still under revision, but the existing memo has been shared, and I will stay involved and see how we revise the protocols and the new memo that will circulate, and I'll be sure to bring it to the rest of the board, and as does Attorney Wilson and his team. They usually bring it to me, and we discuss it, and ultimately share that. But yes, as Board Chair Brody mentioned, there is real sensitivity about how we share that information, because we don't want to put a target on the backs of our most marginalized students and families. So we're trying to handle this with great sensitivity and just great care and thoughtfulness.
Yeah, and through the chair,
Mr. Walker?
the precise reason I was asking the question is that there has to be some visibility so we can see that the work is actually done. And how it gets shared is secondary to me, but at least, yeah, I just want to have some confidence we can see that it got done. So thank you for doing that follow-up work.
Yeah, absolutely for us. I was just envisioning a link to that somewhere posted. That's how I took it, not necessarily how you meant it, but for us. We're all set. So the motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education adopt policy 5111.3, equal protection of students regardless of immigration status. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion moves. Thank you, Mr. Attorney Wilson. And now we're moving to the consent agenda. We now move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are 5.2, acceptance of funds, NEAG grant for Kennelly School. This is the second year that Kennelly has applied for and received the NEAG grant. The funds will pay existing staff to provide before and after school activities. And there's 5.3, contract approval for Deline Flooring for SMSA and UHSSE gym floors to repair and refurbish the gym floors at SMSA and UHSSE that have not been refurbished since they were originally installed. 5.4, first reading food services, no charging policy. This is a state mandated policy they are now requiring districts to have. Note that Hartford Public Schools has not charged for breakfast, lunch in over 20 years. 5.5, first reading, bylaw 9321.2, move consent agenda. This policy change would allow the board to have flexibility in moving the consent agenda first. 5.6, first reading, a batch of policies reviewed and no changes. This is a batch of policies that have not been updated for approximately 20 years. District staff has reviewed and determined they are still good and do not need updating. We'll add a review date at the bottom of those policies. 5.7, approval of minutes from October 21st, 2025. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda?
Yeah, Chair. I just wanted to clarify that those batch of policies have been passed forward to the board with the recommendation of no change. There's still the potential that the board will read these policies and we will have our own recommended changes to those policies.
Yes, this is the first reading.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions on the consent? Do I have a motion to vote on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nays? Abstentions? The motion moves.
Yep.
I'm going to recognize Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I'm taking the privilege to put into the record a public comment in favor of advisory boards for the Board of Education. In the spring of 2024, I proposed to the board the idea of a teacher advisory council to provide an educator's voice to the board's work of evaluating contracts, proposals, and policies. Board leadership acknowledged the value of teacher voice, but more questions and concerns prevented the proposal's approval. I've reintroduced the Teacher Advisory Council to the current board in 2025, expanded it to the advisory group to include parents, teachers, and community members. The proposal failed to be approved again amidst questions about the value of an advisory group and how to implement it in the current board committee structure. Where are advisory boards used? The Connecticut State Board of Education currently uses a number of advisory councils with teachers and others to provide expertise and insights on topics of concern to the State Department of Education. Our current Harvard Public School Board has directed superintendent and school leadership to create advisory councils to provide forums for families, students, staff, and community partners to offer input and share feedback on school district programs, policies, and processes. The one group that's excluded from needing an advisory group is the board itself. More broadly, outside of Connecticut, Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia, they have community advisory committees that are made up of community members, parents, students, and other stakeholders who provide input, advice, and recommendation to the school board on specific issues and topics. Unlike standing committees composed primarily of school board members or district staff, their advisory committees are designed to engage the broader community in the decision-making process, ensuring that diverse perspectives are considered. Now, what are the benefits of advisory councils? From our own website, the councils aim to ensure that the school district is responsive to the needs of its communities, promote collaboration and communications across the district, and to gather input and feedback. Now, I am convinced that an advisory council will provide insights to make our board smarter in doing its work, and am using the opportunity to introduce the advisory council idea to the community more broadly this evening. And with future outreach, I really would like to get feedback from the community about its buy-in with the value of this kind of advisory council, and to understand its benefits, and to help me better convey its value to my fellow board members. Thank you.
Any input from any board members? We are all set for this evening. Oh, Mr. Wilson, we haven't heard your voice this evening.
Yep, nope. Some things are unnecessary. It has nothing to do with the op-ed that was just read off there. I'd like to offer up our thoughts and prayers to the families that we have in our district in regards to the hurricane that has happened, that's devastated Jamaica. We recognize that this is a very difficult time for those families, and our thoughts and our prayers are with you. If there are people out there that want to support and send aid or learn how they can be of any of assistance, you can go to the West Indian Foundation, westindianfoundation.org. There's a lot of information there on drop-off spots for anything you want to donate, or how you can volunteer your time if you do have the time to do so, and I would encourage everyone to do so. I understand with everything that's going on, families are strapped and they have a lot of constraints. So any assistance that is that can be provided would be appreciated. So, thank you.
Thank you for that. I knew it. First Vice Chair Still Ledger.
Good evening. So I just wanted to add one of the islands that was devastated as well was from Hurricane Melissa, but we're not hearing much about it, was the island of Haiti. And there will be some relief efforts, and there's more information coming up. But I would like to recognize that today is the actual anniversary of the Battle of Verchères. That was November 18th, 1803. And this was the final major military engagement of the Haitian Revolution, fought between Haitian revolutionary forces led by Jean-Jacques Dessalines and the French colonial army under General Rochambeau. It marked the decisive defeat of Napoleon's troops in Saint-Domingue. The significance is it secured Haiti's independence, leading to the declaration of the world's first Black Republic on January 1st, 1804. It represented the only successful large-scale slave uprising in history to result in the creation of an independent nation. The victory dealt a major blow to European colonialism and inspired other movements for freedom across the Americas and beyond. Thank you for listening.
With that said, the November 18th Board of Education meeting is adjourned. Thank you for joining us.